everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? Come on in. Thank you for joining me. I am back again with another video, breaking out of my shell. Um, I I am talking about my debt-free journey using the Dave Ramsey debt solution program. And if you checked out my last couple of videos, I talked about my personal journey, but I also was talking about how black people need to get on or need to follow the Dave Ramsey program. Things that people can, that we spend our money on, and how we can actually find ways to get out of debt using the program, simply because some people believe that it is not for us. But that's not what this video is about today. Today, this video is about debt overwhelm. Like I told you, I'm currently on my debt-free journey, and I am going to use the baby steps program that I have watched lots of YouTube videos from Dave Ramsey. Also, checked out some of his lives as well. So debt overwhelm, I'm gonna tell you, it's crazy because I know I am nearly $50,000 in debt. That includes my car that I'm currently financing, some credit card debt, some personal loans, student loans, and back taxes. Maybe a couple of medical bills thrown up in there. And so why I'm coming on to talk about this is because, again, we've had poor financial habits, and I know I've had poor financial habits coming up all my life. And I'm not trying to make excuses, I'm just talking about reality, because I mentioned before, being raised on welfare with a single mother, there was no talk of finance, there was no talk of budgeting. In school, there was no talk of finance or budgeting. You know, we had our math classes, but that was about it. So when I got to be an adult, I did not want to raise my children on welfare. I wanted to go and get a job. And so I did that. You know, I've worked in several different companies over the years. My background was mostly in customer service. But in working and even having good jobs when I worked them, the highest job I had when I worked for AT&T, I believe I was making somewhere around $27 an hour. We'll talk about that another time. But there was a buyout. I took the buyout and I kept it moving. But anyway, even making that money, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I never had a savings account. I was just always in survival mode. I was just always taught to pay your bills. So that's what I did. I went to work, opposed to constantly relying on the welfare system. I went into the workforce. And each week I would make my money and pay my bills, whatever bills I had, whether it was rent, car notes, lights, gas, utilities. I had 2 children. I had to keep food in the house, all those different things. So, but I didn't know to budget for things. I just would make my, go to work, make money. When the paycheck hit the account on Friday, I'd just spend it. I'd spend it on taking care of my household bills, but also, getting my hair and my nails done, and doing things, for the kids, getting their haircuts and whatever else. So that was, that's how I was brought up, really not knowing anything about budgeting. So now that I'm focused on budgeting at the big old age of 56, almost 57, it's kind of hard, but you got to change your mindset. So one thing when I listen to the Dave Ramsey's show, and they often have the callers come in, and they often, the question is how much debt do you have, and they have you break down the debt as to what you owe, student loans, um, car loans. They don't count the house payment as a debt, but credit card debt, student loans, medical bills, things of that nature. So they have you break it down. In my head, like I said, I know that I'm up around $50,000 in financial debt, and the first step to the Dave Ramsey program is to save up $1,000 emergency fund. And again, he knows $1,000 isn't a lot of money, and it's just supposed to cover things like if you get a flat tire, or you need a small car repair or something of that nature comes up, and you need a little money right quick. So you're supposed to start out with $1,000 emergency fund. Well, today, and again, that's crazy because I haven't had a savings account. I mean, I used to have the savings account, and I would put money in it, but then when I needed it, I would take it out. So it was kind of pointless because I always needed it. So here they're saying put it in there, don't touch it no matter what. So I started the my $1,000 emergency fund yesterday. So I put $250,000. No, I wish $250 is in a savings account in a credit union. And I did take advantage of the credit union that he promotes, which is Fair Winds. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I put it in there, and so that doesn't, so that I can't touch it unless I need it. So I'm starting that. I'm estimating probably by the end of this month, the beginning of next month, I'll have my fully funded $1,000 emergency fund. Yay me! So I am getting started. But why I was talking about debt overwhelm, when he comes on and he says, the customer, he asks the caller, how much debt do you have, and then he asks how, what the debts are. And the reason I got I'm talking about debt overwhelm is because I had it in my mind that I do have the nearly 50K in debt. But what what I'm deciding to do is write it down on paper so that I can visually see how much I owe, to who I owe it, debt from smallest to largest. And what I had a habit of doing is, all my life, is knowing that I have the debt but ignoring it, right? It's in my head. I'm ignoring it. I don't want to confront it because I knew I didn't have the money to pay it. So, why look at it? You know what I mean? You think, yeah, I know I owe it, but I don't have the money to pay it, so what's the point in me, looking at it, calling about it, trying to resolve it, that kind of thing. And I know it's horrible to think about, but that's kind of the way I've been going through my life. It's like, okay, yeah, and again, I mentioned before, my entire life I've filed bankruptcy 3 times. Yeah, I'm ashamed to say it, but that's kind of how the advice that I was getting all those years. It's like, okay, you can't pay it, just file bankruptcy. Well, you can't pay it, just file bankruptcy. When you're in debt, just file bankruptcy. Those are the poor money habits that I learned, the poor and the bad advice that I have been getting over the years. And this time I'm thinking, I don't want to do that again. I want to take control and I want to become responsible for my debt. I want to clear it out and never go back into it again. So that's where I am. So again, now I'm looking, once I decided I got debt fatigue. I'm tired of that kind of life. And I'm nearly, I'm 56 years old. I don't have any retirement savings left. I don't have any, so I need to start planning now to be able to not only get out of debt, but to be able to take care of myself in my older years. Should I hit 75, 80, whatever, I don't want to, be struggling to live off of Social Security, if that's even available or if that's even a thing by then. But, so I started writing down the debt, just looking at it. It's like just saying 50K out loud is one thing, but when you put it on paper, oh my gosh, I started to get anxiety because I started writing things down and breaking them down little by little, and the numbers are so big to me, even though I'm looking at, small debts. I mean, just for an example, like I might owe a tax year, like I owe taxes, IRS taxes around, I knew they were around $4,000, but those are for individual years. So it's like, 3 or 4 years that I owed and I just didn't pay. I just, I broke it down, into the smallest ones that I owe for whatever year. So, and just looking at them, I got overwhelmed, so I had to pause and walk away. But I didn't want to walk away, so I had to walk back and get back focused on it. So these are things that I'm struggling with when it comes to looking at my debt on paper and being able to make a decision. Once I get this emergency fund in place, how am I going to start to do these baby steps and paying off the debt? That's baby step number 2. Once you get your emergency fund in place, that's baby step number 1. You move on to baby step number 2. So I'm listing all of my debts from smallest to largest. But, Dave Ramsey's advice, the Ramsey advice is to pay the back taxes first, because they can come at you and make your life miserable. And they've come before and done a garnishment out of my check a couple times, maybe a year or two ago. And then, I would call them and I would start making payments and they wouldn't do it. And then I would fall off because I just didn't have the money. So, it's crazy. I was just making money, but again, I was just not budgeting. So, just listing these things from smallest to largest and looking at them written down gives me a lot of anxiety. But I want to encourage you, if that's something that you're going through, if you want to get out of debt, and you know in your head how much you think you owe, or you know what you owe, start pulling those things out of your head and putting them on paper. No matter how difficult it is. And again, that's me changing my mindset, because now I'm writing these things down and I'm looking at them And I do have the Dave Ramsey Every Dollar app, where it's a budgeting app where you plug in your income and you plug in your debt, and month to month, it's supposed to help you see where your money is going. So I have that. I started putting things in the app. I haven't been consistently using it, but that's, again, that's a habit. So I'm trying to get into the habit of budgeting, and I am going to use the app, but I do want to put it on paper to see, exactly what it is I owe, so that I can go in and check it off. Or, like if I start out with a $400 balance on one IRS debt, I can pay towards that. So say my 2016 payment to the IRS, I owe $400, so I can start checking that off and putting money towards that. And when I pay that off, I can cross it out. I can take it out of my out of the equation, so on and so forth. I'm not a digital person. I'm not, and so, but that app is going. I'm going to focus on using that app. I think it's a great app to help me stay on track if I use it properly. But I still want to put it on paper so that I can look at it physically. And yeah, it's giving me overwhelm. It's giving me anxiety. But look, I mean, if that's something that you are dealing with, you don't feel like you have enough money, but you have all these debts. Get that Every Dollar app, or do a spreadsheet, do a checklist. Get out all your bills and start writing them down. I'm going to pull my credit report and see if there's anything on there that I might have missed. But I am, I'm focused on doing that. So hopefully this helps somebody. Like and subscribe to my channel if you want to be on a debt-free journey and you don't want to be on it alone. I don't want to be on it alone. I want to encourage not only the black community, but anyone, especially if you're within my age bracket, my age range. You're over 50. You don't have, you don't have your retirement set. You don't have any savings. You're in debt. You want to get out. Like and subscribe to my channel, and let's encourage each other. If you're going on that same type of journey. And I'm saying follow Dave Ramsey. He has a program. It's called Financial Peace University. I believe there's a price to get the university. That's not in my budget right now. That's okay. I'm just going to keep listening to the YouTube videos and hearing the stories that people are getting out of debt. Some people are getting out of debt that have way more than $50,000. I mean, it's crazy. And my next video, I'm going to talk about the income, because he does ask, how much debt do you have, and what's your income is another question. So I'll talk about that in my next video and tell you why, what I'm doing to use my income and budget my income, or even earn income to be able to get out of debt. So I hope this video helps you. Again, like and subscribe to my channel, please, and support me on my debt-free journey. It's a lot for me to even talk about. It is an embarrassing situation, but I'm going from being embarrassed to being empowered. Have a good day. Signing out.